Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm kicking off Pizza Week by showing you how to make this delightful Fennel Sausage pizza. Alright, so let's get started. First up, you're going to start by adding the warm water to a bowl or a measuring cup, followed by the sugar, salt, yeast, and olive oil. Give this a solid mix and then set aside for 10 minutes to ferment. Alright, so while you're waiting for the yeast to activate, you're going to grab some fresh basil, oregano, and some parsley and give them a very, very good chop, almost until they're minced. After the herbs are chopped, you're going to add them to a small mixing bowl along with a good helping of olive oil, a pinch of garlic powder, a little bit of dry Parmesan cheese, and then you're going to give that a good mix and then set aside until you're ready to dress the pizza. Alright, so now that the starter should be ready to go, you're going to add a few cups of bread flour to it and begin folding the bread flour in the starter for about 5 to 7 minutes to build the gluten strength. Add a little flour as needed if it gets too sticky to handle, but the end result should be a fairly tacky dough that's soft yet really strong. Once that's done, you're going to transfer the dough to an oiled bowl, just a little bit of olive oil in a metal or glass bowl just to coat the dough, and then you're going to cover it with plastic wrap. Let this double in volume before using, but ideally you'd want to let this proof overnight for a better flavor in the finished crust, but this yields a pretty dang good crust if you ask me. Alright, so while you're waiting for the dough to proof, you're going to make some simple fennel sausage by grinding some roasted fennel seeds and chili flakes in a mortar if you have one, or a coffee grinder, or even a small food processor. After that, you're going to add the pork sausage to a small mixing bowl and season it with the spicy fennel mixture. Then you're going to make these rough little meatballs, they don't have to be perfect at all, out of the sausage, and then you're going to add them to a small saute pan or a skillet and bake in a 500-degree oven for about 15 minutes. Okay, so after your meatballs are done, it's time to actually start making your pizza and assembling it. So you're going to generously flour a large working surface and then turn the proof dough out onto the floured board. And then you're going to lightly dust the top of the dough with some flour and begin gently stretching, pressing, and pulling the dough outwards, always keeping in mind of a roughly round shape while doing it. But obviously do it as best as you can, because obviously I'm not one of those guys who can toss it up in the air or do any fancy stuff. But before you stretch the dough out completely, transfer it to a metal tray or ideally a peel that's coated with some semolina flour. Give the pizza a few stretches, a few final stretches, just depending on how thin or thick you want the center to be, and also shake the tray or the peel a little bit to make sure it's not stuck. But now it's topping time. So spread the olive oil and herb mixture that you made earlier around the dough first, and then you're going to place a few of those torn fennel sausage meatballs evenly around the pizza. Just make sure that they're not burning hot so that they don't burn your fingers. But next you're going to add some thinly sliced red onion along with some sliced fennel, and finally a good top off of a shredded mozzarella. Once that's all done, you're going to throw this into a 550-degree oven, or basically just get your oven as hot as possible, and it should cook for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Obviously, if you have a pizza stone, that's ideal, but if not, just cook it on a cookie tray or a sheet tray. Once the golden brown pie is done, carefully take it out of the oven and quickly top the pizza with some fresh arugula and thinly shaved fennel with just a little drizzle of olive oil. After that, slice it up and share it with your friends and family. All right, guys, so the fennel sausage pizza is done. This looks amazing, smells amazing, smells so savory and delicious, and has this, you know, it's a fresh smelling but yet hearty pizza. So let me dig in, I'll run through the flavors, tell you guys how I did, and yeah, so let me dig in. All right, so super crispy as you can tell. The bottom is perfect. It's a nice little crust on the bottom. Yeah, it smells amazing. All right. Wow, I love this pizza. That herb parm olive oil spread on the bottom suits the fennel sausage just perfectly. Wonderful medley of flavors between the two. Fresh shaved fennel obviously gives a nice little bite. Of course, the red onions are a nice little pop of red color. The crust is just absolutely perfect. A magnificent, beautiful, crispy bottom, but it's really thin. I really like my crust, so I made it a little bit bigger around the edges. I really love the fresh topping with the arugula and fresh shaved fennel just to finish. It kind of wilts just slightly right after you cook it. It sort of melts onto the pizza. It's a really, really beautiful fresh topping. I love that. Yeah, it's a wonderful pizza just all around. If you make this from home, from scratch like this, and you serve it to some of your friends and family, it's gonna blow their mind. And honestly, this took me about an hour and a half to make. Obviously, everyone has their take on homemade pizza. I'm not even gonna try to step on anybody's toes. This is just how I make my pizza and how I approach this recipe. So that's kind of where I am with my pizza making skills. This is sort of like a modified New York pizza, New York style, but it's definitely a little bit thicker because that's a thin crust pizza. So nonetheless, this was fun to make, and this is my take on a fennel sausage pizza. Relatively easy to make, and it's just amazing. The quality of this is just stellar. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, make sure you thumbs up the recipe. Subscribe at the end of this video. I'll have a button, so click it, subscribe, and of course comment down below. Tell me what you think about my channel, what you think about the recipe, and everything in between. All right, guys, I will see you guys next time with another really delicious recipe. Bye, everybody.